Kingdom Hearts 3 has officially been released and out for the world to experience for a month now. And during that month, many people have had different things to say about it, how they feel about the story, the gameplay, and more. And while this isn't my Kingdom Hearts 3 review, this video isn't focusing on what these people think. Well, at least not about the game itself. As I mentioned in the last video, getting the secret ending in Kingdom Hearts 3 upon completing the game, you need to have met certain criteria in order to unlock it. Those being all lucky emblems if you played on beginner, 60 on standard, and 30 on proud mode. But once watching through the secret movie for the first time, we were all left with plenty of questions, some that I think I may have an answer for. Now once the secret movie begins, we see Sora waking up in the middle of the street in a city that appears to be Tokyo, Japan. We then are switched over to Riku, who wakes up in another area looking similar to Tokyo, gathering his bearings, as the movie then quickly starts going back and forth between Sora and Riku trying to familiarize themselves with their surroundings. But as they've never been here before, they just kind of look like they're trying to make sense of where they are and how they got here. But here's where it gets pretty interesting. We cut to a scene where Sora gazes at a building in the distance, but what's actually really interesting about this is the building Sora is staring at is actually the 10-4 building from The World Ends With You. The 10-4 building is a popular fashion landmark in The World Ends With You, as many people look for the hottest brands and fashion statements from its huge billboards. But not only that, the 10-4 building is very important in The World Ends With You, as it's the target destination of your very first mission in each chapter of the game when participating in the Reaper's game, which confirms a few different things for us once we step back and analyze. Sora is indeed in Shibuya, where The World Ends With You game takes place. But even more mysterious to me is Sora wakes up in the middle of the street in Shibuya, but not just any street. In The World Ends With You, Neku Sakuraba, the protagonist, wakes up here at the beginning of each week of the Reaper's game, as this is the starting point of the Reaper's game. This location is known as the Scramble Crossing. It's a street that connects to other important locations in the game, such as the statue of Hachiko, the 10-4 building, the Shibuya Depot store, and the Center Street entrance. Now immediately Sora is more than likely not knowing where he's at first, but upon reading signs around the city, he'll pick up that he's actually in Shibuya, the home of his friend Neku Sakuraba that he met in Dream Drop Distance. More than likely after that, he'll see how populated the 10-4 building is and will make his way there only to find Neku, and this is the important part, not knowing who he is. You see, recently Nomura confirmed in an interview that the World Ends With You gang that Sora and Riku met during the events of Dream Drop Distance actually weren't the real World Ends With You guys from the game, and that the ones we met were actually from another reality, which may sound a bit confusing, but knowing the context of the game, this actually makes a lot more sense, as during the Reaper's game, you can't just leave Shibuya, as the game takes place in Shibuya, and the composer, the one behind everything in the game, only owns control over that area. So them being sent to Traverse Town for one of their missions is an impossibility. Not only that, in The World Ends With You Another Day chapter actually tells us that it takes place in another reality than that of what we previously played. And during it, we see two of the character Joshua, one of that reality and the other from the main reality from the main game. And Mr. H meets up with him to take him back to their own reality again. This aligns up, making sense to what Nomura was saying. Okay, but now it begs the question as to how and why he got there. And for those who played The World Ends With You, how can he even see Neku? You see, for those who don't actually know, those who participate in the Reaper's game in The World Ends With You are actually all dead and are in a separate space of the same reality called the UG, or the Underground, where those who die can participate in the Reaper's game are held to compete for a second chance at life. Those in the UG can see the RG, the real world, and the people in it, but those in the RG can't see those in the UG. There's a certain exception to that rule, but that's the gist of how it works. The bottom line is, if Sora can see Neku, it would mean he's dead too, competing for a second chance at life, unable to leave the UG until then, which would actually make a lot of sense, as though even though we see Neku fine at the end of The World Ends With You, at the end of A New Day chapter of The World Ends With You Final Remix, we see Neku killed by Coco as she needs him for another Reaper's game. So him being dead again about to participate in the new Reaper's game alongside Sora would actually be in the realm of possibility, especially since he wouldn't have anyone else to partner with because all of his friends are alive again. This about explains everything for Sora now though, as any more would solely just be speculation with no real evidence to support a hypothesis. Now back to Riku though, he appears to have landed in modern day Shinjuku of Tokyo, Japan, where we learned that massive events happened there during A New Day of The World Ends With You Final Remix, to where the whole city ends up being erased, but knowing that fact would mean Riku lands there before the event takes place, case. We have a little less to go on here as we never actually get to see Shinjuku in The World Ends With You and only hear about what happens, but what I find peculiar is that we see a scene where Riku is wandering the streets of Shinjuku and we see him pass by a building he was just gazing at, but then the camera pans upward to the same building, as you can tell it's the same building based off its structure, but on top of the building we see Yozora, who seems to be staring down at Riku examining him, when I totally can't blame him for, because the two characters look nearly identical from afar. Even their clothes designs look very similar. Makes you wonder if the plots surrounding Riku will have something to do with the two men looking similar. Now I feel it's been grazed over a lot by many that Yozora is actually in Shinjuku, meaning that the Verum Rex possibly takes place there, which could make some logical sense as we could tell by the Verum Rex game trailer that a lot seems to be in jeopardy as the Gigas seem to be trying to destroy Shinjuku while the Verum Rex gang are doing their best to stop them. Makes you wonder if the girl Yozora was trying to save in that trailer may hold a special power of some sort that could be exploited by the wrong people and used to erase Shinjuku. But again, we're kind of dipping into speculation territory here, but at the very end we see a clip of a hooded figure on top of a building using his hands to make the shape of a heart over the moon. Recently in an interview, Nomura confirmed that this man is in fact the Master of Masters, as he's the only one who would do something like that, meaning the Master of Masters has finally returned like we expected him to after reading the secret reports of Kingdom Hearts 3 where Luciu says that the Master can finally return. If you guys do want a video of sorts where I go over what could possibly happen in Shibuya and in Shinjuku with Sora and Neku and Riku and Yozora, I'd be happy to if the demand is there, so let me know in the comments. So while we're at it, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button for me. It helps me see that you guys enjoy these kinds of videos and I can make more of them. Not only that, sharing this video with a friend or across social media would really mean a lot to me, as well as you may even help blow somebody else's mind. Do you guys agree with what I said? If so or if not, let me know down below where we can discuss and theorize together as a community. If you're new here and you haven't already, please consider subscribing, as hitting the bell after doing so will make sure you never miss another video again. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is KingdomAce, and remember my loyal knights to always fly skyward.